Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Fuego here.
Here to do a comic review for you guys. This one is, we do these horror comic reviews from time to time. Recently I've been keeping it more of the branded variety, but we also just got our hands on a really cool 4-issue series that is not of the, it hasn't been made into a movie yet, although I sincerely hope it will be.
I think it warrants it very much so.
Indeed, but this one is a comic by the name of Rising Rebels. Now, this is a book that is made by someone that we've actually interviewed on the channel before.
He's a friend of the channel.
He's
been a long time, just an acquaintance and buddy of ours at
but
the
more than that, Jay Photos is a not only great guy, but he is a fantastic artist and writer by his own right. Like he has been doing colors in comics for a long time for a number of huge books.
Big time ones.
Yeah, I mean, from Lock and Key, specifically, one that we're extremely excited about, to a bunch of other, the smaller ones that people may or may not have heard. Diablo House, he's done. It's funny because every time I pick up a book,
68
Zombie, yep, that's his own thing as well. But every time I pick up an independent horror book, it seems like, oh, this color was done by Jay Photos.
Surprise.
Fantastic. I always know it's going to be quality. And so Jay put out his own book, which is Rising Rebels. To credit properly, the story is by Jay Photos and Mark Kidwell, and the art is done by Jeff Zorro and Jay Photos. Lettering by Tom B. Long. So this is a really fun 4-issue series, and we'll do this review kind of like we normally do our reviews. We'll start with our overall thoughts, then we'll talk about the story, and then the artwork, I think, is the best way to progress from there. So my overall thoughts on this were, I absolutely loved this book. I mean, I had such fun with it. It really is a genuine throwback to the Up All Night kind of movies, like the old school 80s horror movies. I mean, it takes place in 1983, so
year I was born.
It's firmly planted in that sort of nostalgia, but it's also done with such tremendous skill in the art department that it is pleasing on a number of levels. And specifically the influence, the greatest influence clearly appears to be John Carpenter's The Thing.
And some Swamp Thing as well.
Absolutely. So I absolutely loved the book. That's my overall thoughts. Fuego?
Yeah, it was very cool in the fact that it has a meta-ness to it, in the fact that it starts out with, a father and a son. The son finds some old VHS tapes and they sit down to watch this film together, and then it jumps into the story, flashes back to, craziness, in the bayou, post-Civil War, and just gets violent, and it felt so authentic in a lot of ways, especially with the dialogue from all the characters, whether when it jumps up to 83 and you've got this and almost like that southern drawl from this sheriff guy, just the way he talked cracked me up. And I mean, there's a lot of familiar beats and stuff as far as tropes and angles and stuff like that, but it drew from so many different areas that it felt fresh to me, and it felt authentic, like it could have come from that era, which is the best thing. There's some that feel very forced when they try to do this sort of throwback approach, whereas this one, it drew from enough separate sources that it felt like its own thing.
Honestly, that's one of the best criticisms that we can provide for this, is that it felt like an undiscovered movie, like on the shelf next to all these other ones that I just never pulled off the shelf and watched myself.
Which is what happens with the
father
and the son.
Pretty much. So this, so the Fuego, before you jump into the story, I do just want to mention real quick that this is pertinent not only to us, but pertinent to our patrons as well, because when I was talking to Jay, he said, he let me know that issue 4 was out. I've been getting the issues as they came out, but I hadn't reviewed it because I wanted to wait until the series was done, and I'm really glad that I did. But when the 4th issue finally came out, he said, okay, I will leave you a little care package, and then we can get this review going. And I'm like, absolutely, I'm excited to do so. So when I did, he left out a nice little package for us, and it was the 4th issue and the 3rd issue, actually, because I I have that somewhere, but I couldn't find it. And so he provided another, but then he also provided extra copies of issue 1 and 2. Not only he provided the he provided the non-wraparound covers and the wraparound covers.
Oh,
and we should go ahead and show what one of the wraparound covers looks like so they can see. This is one of my favorites. So that's the front there, but go ahead and show the wrap. Boom.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. I mean, it's a fence full of dead heads and the big bad, as it were, of the story. So Fuego, you know, just so, well, I guess before we get to that, the other thing that he actually sent was there were a couple of neat little add-ons here. First, he sent a bit of, you know, art right here that's a little bit separate, along with a decal, sticker, and some signature cards right there. So that, you know, it makes sure that you know that it is authentic. But outside of that, he actually sent, because it is a very Swamp Thing-esque homage. Oh,
sorry, excuse me.
Making Fuego sneeze, because he actually sent along a little bit of cursed earth along with it. So there's you can see there's a little container there that is a bit of cursed earth that he sent along with it.
Oh, and there's a massive, like, discussion in there. Directions for you. Step 1, sprinkle a pinch of cursed earth on enemy or enemy's possessions. Step 2, chant words, righteous vengeance from my heart, sting you like a poison dart, life beyond life, souls yet to be saved. Wow. Speak through the still earth of 100 dark graves, forms stripped of flesh, bones with no name. From deep in green shadows, grant me my claim. Step 3, wait 20 to 30 minutes for curse to take effect. If you don't see violent reactions within that time, repeat after a 24-hour period. And then there's more after that. And
so it comes with directions,
the VHS and everything. And I love those pseudo VHS tapes.
And that's the other thing. So he provided the cursed earth, and then one of these was from prior, but the other was also included. We have 2.
Because he gave us one.
He gave us one at the convention. I believe it was Mad Monster.
Yeah, and that's where he had the huge, the horse.
He actually had the whole big horse and rider display. Exactly. So one of these I'm going to keep wrapped. And the reason why is because, guys, for our patrons, we have a couple of Boogie Box level patrons. Woo! And one of those lucky Boogie Box people, well, maybe 2, are going to get their hands on some of the coolness. So what's on the inside there, Fuego?
Well, let's check it out. So it's even got the Be Kind Rewind on the front, like the horror sticker. Like
it's a great little VHS just to put on a shelf.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a VHS shelf anymore.
Very collected. I still have some VHS, believe it or not. Yeah, some stuff that was never released proper. But so inside, yeah, we're both old. It's okay. Age is a state of mind. So we have signatures from Jay in there, and
Indeed.
I'm assuming at least one of the other creatives, original sketch drawing by Jay Photo. So this is, that's actually
wow, that's an original sketch drawing.
Yeah, let's get a close.
So I don't even know what the original sketch drawing is in here because it's wrapped.
Check it.
So that's
makes me wonder if it's something completely
different.
different.
So this comes with cursed earth also.
Yeah, so we have some cursed earth in here.
Oh, so okay, so I can
sans directions.
I can keep one for the background of the show.
Oh, it's got the directions on this too. It's just beautiful. Then we have this badass lanyard.
Oh, Rising Rebels lanyard, nice.
Yeah. And then this actually ties in with some stuff which was in the back of each comic book. There was
Garbage Pail Kid.
Well, there was this throwback discussion about 80s culture that I found really fascinating. It was called Curse Words. And actually, no, it was called was it Making Monsters? Okay, that's what
there was. A lot of supplemental material.
Tons of supplemental material. So 80s Once Upon a Time. And it's really just personal kind of memoirs of the amazing decade of creativity and silliness and cheesy horror awesomeness that was the 80s. And I mean, it was actually written by Derry Marianino. I always worry I'm mispronouncing Danny's name, man, but yeah, he's a buddy of Jay's and knows a ton of, like, he knows the 6'8" zombie guys. He's the dude who punched out my little boy Danzig. But it's I mean, it's just really just waxing about the culture of the time, horror culture,
it makes
action
sense that
films.
the Garbage Pail Kid is in here. So this is Cut Up Carmen. Now, there's also a couple of really cool pins. There's a Rising Rebels pin and a just straight up horror pin. That's kind of cool.
Too.
There's some old school Pop Rocks. original flavor.
Yep.
That's in there.
I always think of
There's
the Pop
that
Rocks and
sticker,
the person blowing up Death.
Rising Rebel sticker.
Another one of those.
And there is a signed, this one is a signed print little card. So there's a lot in here. And then last but not least, a little rubber roach.
Yeah.
Little rubber roach for you. All right. So that is the coolness that he included.
That'll go back in there.
And believe it or not, Fuego didn't even know we got this. So it does not sway his review at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
So
yeah, and each of these 80s Once Upon a Times, I mean, check it. You've got some Contra in there and Monster Party and just really, really cool observations from Brother Marianino.
So, Fuego, why don't you go into the story real quick then? Okay. I mean, we're taking quite a while to get there.
Well, we're just like geeking out over this awesome care package. But yeah, so essentially story-wise, things begin at the very end. It's like post-Civil War, and we're in Louisiana, we're in the Bayou area and stuff like that. And you've got like Union soldiers after this former Confederate dude who had basically lynched like a ton. Yeah, there he is on the run. They've tracked him down, and at this particular tree, there's a ton of just hangings of different people that he was guilty of. Lots of nastiness. Really, really corrupt, sick son of a bitch. And they track him down and they kill him right in front of the tree. Mm-hmm. They kill his horse too, so they both go down.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, and so yeah, he basically dies in front of this tree, and almost like he's paired with all of the souls of the ones that he had killed at this tree too, and it's like the intermingling of all just this evil energy and nastiness. Mm-hmm. Then it fast forwards to 1983, and the same area where all this stuff went down, and there's this like real estate developer guy who shows up in the small town where this is all transpired, and he's like developing like a casino resort kind of area, and he gets warnings from all of the sheriff and the deputy and everything, and they're just like, you best be wary of that land, Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of history there, lots of nastiness, lots of stories, and there's also a like voodoo family mm-hmm. that is right next to it. A voodoo
family of sisters that mm-hmm. everyone thinks are witches, basically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the one in particular, she's mighty sexy, mm-hmm. and she gets all temptress with this guy, and it's just funny because of the fact that that's the movie, what we're describing right now, that mm-hmm. the father and son are watching in present day, mm-hmm. and when it gets to the point where the voodoo mistress seductress tries to, well, they basically do start getting down on the get down, it flashes back to present day, with them watching the movie, and the father is like trying to cover up his son's eyes, and he's like, no nudity, and he's like, come on, Dad, blah, mm-hmm. blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And, but that's when we really get just the extent of the evil that's there. There's a little transformation action with the chick, and I didn't even mention like the fate of how he actually goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
just so you guys can see the level of.
We don't want to like spoil everything.
We're not going to spoil everything, but this is we've already discussed what happened to the bad guy. This is just a visual representation of the bad guy, or this is a visual representation of how the bad guy goes down. Again, this is the first issue, so this is not spoiling, anything going forward, and we're not going to show any artwork after this. But you have to see the level of carnage that the artists are able to pull off here, and so I'm going to show you this.
Yeah, it's hardcore. So the Union soldiers, they track him to that spot, and they like wound him or just get him cornered, so to speak, and then the souls, like legit Tales from the Crypt style, of those peeps that he had hung and killed, they all
tear him to shreds,
descend
basically
upon him and rip him up, and
mm-hmm.
that's how he gets bonded there, along with all of their like negative spirits at that particular point. But yeah, it essentially when he has that encounter with the voodoo mistress, the real estate guy that I was mentioning, he narrowly escapes with this old drunk guy who was taking him out there, and that's when they end up getting the full scope of an even bigger evil that's mm-hmm. still there, with the spirit of said crazy Confederate guy and the swamp monsterishness that he is almost able to conjure and has some sort of power over. And that's where it eventually gets into the Thing stuff, and how just articles get lopped off. There's mutated crocs. There's just all kinds of craziness that ends up happening.
Great creatures, and
they even give an homage to. They give thanks to John Carpenter.
Yeah, in a little editor's note. Mm-hmm. Yeah, It's just a really fun. I mean, it's a throwback. The editor's note alone is a throwback to older comics because they don't really do that anymore. Yeah. And it's really fun. The creatures, it's like a late night creature movie that you're just watching play out, but it's so graphically done during those pieces of artwork that that's why I fell in love with this book. I was like, oh, this is so unabashedly 80s gore presented in comic book form. It was so awesome. Yeah. So I enjoyed the story. I don't have, any critiques for it. I mean, yeah, it's not the deepest of things, but it doesn't need to be. Not every story needs to be the deepest of stories. It's just fun to see, a little kid discover his dad's horror movie collection and throw one on and see what happens. And that's what this is.
One of the only things I can't say I was like super fond of was where they went with the meta-ness. Okay. About the power of the of the VHS tape and stuff, but then they actually brought me back around to being okay with it when they do this little. Let's just say there's a post-credits kind of thing at the end of the 4th issue after everything is done and wrapped up in a nice little package, and the connection with the film and with the people in real life watching the film, and then you're just like, then I was like, well, I might have had a problem with it initially, but then I'm actually kind of liking the way they tie it all together.
They're obviously aware of what they've done and stuff. So I think it works on that level too. So obviously as I've touched on it a few times, I'm a big fan of the art.
Gory and grisly and crazy, man.
And it's also like one of the ways I originally wanted to describe it is it's a Where's Waldo for gory horror fans, because every page you can pore over every little detail to really take in the grotesqueness of the creature that is facing you on the page. It looks so cool, and it's so fun to just look at all the design choices, and everything's like, man, these are really awesome out there designs. Yeah. And it's really fun to look at.
Tons of unique alteration, all within the different variations of creatures that we get, depending on who gets infected, what gets lopped off, what sort of animal it was to begin with, and just all of these different things. And that's where that's why they wore their heart on their sleeve, and their influences there too. And we're just like, we derived a lot of inspiration from Carpenter's The Thing because of all the unique takes they had within that. So yeah.
I mean, the coloration, the colors are great. The shading is great.
That blood pops, yo.
Yeah, it is a bit of a saturated comic. There are some muted tones at times, but I don't mind. I think it all works together so swimmingly that I really enjoyed the book. I think you guys should definitely check it out. So,
well, I just love stringy, slimy, just kind of stuff like this,
So I'm going to show all the covers.
Swamps
are
gross, man, and this was actually maybe my favorite wraparound.
Yeah, Fuego wanted to show you this wraparound
number
here.
4 is dope, dude. Just look at the full extent of all of that. Yeah, that's the 4th issue with everything, coming around full circle and stuff.
So cool. Yeah, the wraparound covers are really awesome, and that's why it pays to support the creators directly. Just so you guys know, I will be putting a link in the description box if you guys want to get your hands on these. I'll let you do that in that description box down below.
Well, and I was going to say, at the end of issue 4, we should open it back up real quick, because they mentioned the next comic that they're actually already in development on.
That I'm actually very interested
super curious about,
So what he is doing, or what they are doing next, is one that they're taking a mythology that we all know, but they're going in their own way on it. And it's called Gorgon. Which, if you guys didn't know, Medusa is a Gorgon. Gorgon. I don't know how you want to say it, but a Gorgonite. A Gorgon. She has the snakes in her hair and can turn you to stone, hence Gorgon. So that is what they're working on next. I'm really excited about it, but I honestly, part of why I'm really excited about it is because of how great this was. So just so you guys see, first cover, boom, right there. That's a wraparound cover. Second cover, boom, right there. That's also a wraparound cover. Yeah. Third cover,
that's the only one.
Boom. It's the only one we don't have the wraparound on. I
still really like that skull.
Still really cool cover, skull, swamp, waterfall thing, yeah. And then 4th book, boom. Wraparound cover.
Super cool, man.
So we can't recommend Rising Rebels enough to you guys. We absolutely think it's worth your time to seek out and get. Jay travels the country doing cons all the time, but as I said,
he also teaches at the community colleges too. So he's imparting all of this knowledge and insight and wisdom and skill to younger up and coming talent, which is really awesome too, man.
So what I would say is don't wait for him to come near you, because it may not be even that near to you. Just go ahead and click the link in the description box to get your hands on this book and other stuff that Jay does. But yeah, it's very worth your time, very worth your money.
I hope he has a trade coming of it, man.
Oh, he's
like
got
some
to.
Badass
I'm sure he's got
hardcover
to.
of it or something.
I'm sure. But
I
still,
want it,
support the singles while you can.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button. If you want to see more comic reviews, go ahead and click subscribe. We also did our separate trailer reactions for it recently, so check those out if you haven't yet, although
Chapter 2.
I imagine most of you have. But thank you guys very much for watching. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime, and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.